This is going to be the second half of lesson 41, where we went to station websites and pulled off the data so that we could build a library that if you use stations that use research, then you'd have a research library. Not exactly perfect, but certainly better than nothing. But when you do that, different companies do their formatting on their websites differently, and you got to get around that. So I'm going to show you a few different ways to get around it. And ultimately, within these few different ways, you will see how to get around pretty much anything, because the problem tends to basically be the same. The data comes to you in a different way when you get it over on the spreadsheet. It's laid out differently, and you got to move it into a form that you want to use, or you end up getting the pictures of the albums, and you don't want that, and you want to get rid of those. One way that I went through and I showed you is to turn the internet off, and you won't get the pictures. It won't go grab them. That doesn't work in every instance. Most of the time it does, but it doesn't work every time. So we're on Power 95.3. This is a Cox radio station. All the Cox stations are laid out the same. So I'm going to hit last songs played, and it's going to take us to the last songs played. All right, and they don't give you a whole lot, although you can hit more and more and more. Okay, so if I hit load more, it's going to keep going down the page. So let's just grab a few of these and I'll show you what to do. Okay, so I'm going to grab right here. I'm going to put the cursor right at that 7, and then I'm going to start coming down the page. And then I'm going to scroll down a bit. I'll scroll down to, let's just say here. Now, I'm now going to click out in this area. I'll click actually just on the other side of this line. But I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and now I'm going to click the mouse, and it's going to highlight everything. Okay, now I'm going to copy, and I'm going to, just in case maybe it won't bring the pictures, I'm going to turn off the internet. I'm going to turn my Wi-Fi off, and I'm going to paste. Pasting right now. As you can see, sometimes turning off the internet doesn't work. Let's try it a different way, because usually this will work, and maybe it might have been the first thing we should have done. I'm going to click over here just to show you that it can be done even with the pictures on the page, and I'm going to, in Excel, I'm going to go to Edit. Instead of doing Paste, I'm going to actually paste Special. Now usually this brings up a menu, but in this instance it's going to bring up a slightly different looking menu. You see, I'll show you the menu when we get doing one of the other ones, the actual normal Excel menu that it will throw up. But this one is throwing up this. So what do we really want? Well, we want text, because we don't want any pictures. So let's see what this does. And there we go. Now we don't need any of this stuff. So at this point, what I would do is I would transfer this to another blank page. So I would hit this little plus. It'll make another page. It's got nothing on it. I'll go back to this one, and I will just grab the whole column. I'll copy it into memory. I'll come over here, and I'll just touch another column, and then I'll just paste it in normally. And there it is. There's the data. Now, what do you do with this data to get it into a form that you want? Well, this becomes pretty simple, really. All you do is just do this. You do equal signs, and then just build the look that you want. So I'm going to go equal here, equal what? Well, let's equal the time. Okay? So whatever's here in column B, it's going to put it to where I put the equal sign. Let's do another one. Equal. Well, what do we want next? Well, I would like the artist, personally, instead of the title of the song. So, artist, boom, done. Let me just make this a little wider. And now we want the title. Equal. There's the title of the song. And there it is. There's your data. Now, if I just grab this, select it all, and then I'll copy it, and I'll come down to this time, highlight that column as a starting point, and then I'll paste, and it'll do the same thing as up here. I can do it again and again and again and again. Now, is there a faster way of doing this? Yes, there is, actually. Although you got to be careful, you have to be careful that these are laid out exactly the same way. And I'll give you an example of what can happen. If you look here, you go data, 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 data. So from the second Ariana Grande, you go right to the time. Did it again, did it again, did it again. Here, there's a blank space. See the blank space? So you would want to get rid of this blank space. So you would highlight the whole row, you would go to edit, and then you would go to delete to get rid of it. Now there's going to be another one down here probably. So here's another one right here. See this other one? I'll show you what happens when there is no space, and then you'll see what happens when there is a space. Okay? So I'm going to just highlight this, and then I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm going to click over here. So now this whole thing is highlighted. And before this repeats, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. So I'm going to hold down the shift key, and I'm going to click right here. Now all of this is selected. And what this is telling Excel is repeat this. Repeat whatever the instructions are in this row. Don't do anything with the next 3 rows, and just, and keep repeating it as this person is going to pull this down. Now watch. Okay, I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to go down to, let's just say here. See what happened? But here's what's interesting. If I do that again, and I go, to this row where there's an extra space, it's going to get off in the count, and then you're going to get screwed up. So I'm going to go down, I'll just pull it all the way down to here. See what ended up happening? You lose it. Time, I don't know what this is. I guess it's title, and then some other weird numbers. After you move stuff over, you have to be very careful that that the formatting of what you brought over is identical all the way through. So I'm going to just get rid of that. So you would do this for all of your music. Okay, I told you this was tedious. Now, what you would do is you'd get another sheet. All right, now you got another blank sheet. And what you would do is you would grab all 3 of these columns. So I'm clicked on this one. I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm going to click here. All 3 are highlighted. I'm now going to copy. I would go to the 3rd blank sheet. I would touch anywhere you want this information to be. So I'd touch a column here, let's just say. And it doesn't have to be the same size. It just has to be a starting point. Then I'm going to go back under edit, and I'm going to paste special. Now you get the real menu. This is the typical menu that would come up. And what do you want on here? You want values. You don't want the formulas to come through, because that's going to mess you up. You don't want the formats or the comments or any of that other stuff. What you want is values. So what it's going to do is it's going to look, back in, well, I can't go back, but it's going to look into each of the cells and see numbers and letters and just say, well, I guess you just want these numbers and letters. You don't want me to do anything with them, just dump them. Great. So I'm going to hit that. And it's just going to dump numbers and letters. Okay. And now we're here. And so now what we can do is we can actually sort these. So I'll sort them on column C, which is the artists. Okay. So we'll go to sort, data, sort, and we'll sort it on column C. And there they are. They're all together. Now, as you're looking at this, you're going, well, what is this? What are these numbers? Well, this is the digital version of time. So you'd highlight the entire row. Again, this is a pain to do, but a lot of times if you don't, you can just blow this off, really. For getting only a gold library, you don't really need the time. The time is only, it only comes in handy really when you want to actually look at rotations. But if you don't care about looking at rotations, you just want to know, what songs are played and how many times they were played, you don't really need this. So you could just erase it. But I'm going to show you how to, bring it in. So at this point now, what you would do is you would hit either Control 1 on a PC or Command 1 on a Mac. And it's going to bring up this, which is formatting of cells. And this is where you tell this column, this entire column, what is this? Is it general? Is it number, currency? What is this? Date? Percentages? What do you want this to be? Well, we want it to be time. Okay, so let's just pick a time. I want it to look, it'll look like whatever one you choose. So I want it to look like this, and I'll hit OK, and now it's time. If you double click right on these little lines here, I'll do that again just to show you. Like say it was here and I can't quite read everything. If you double click on the line, it takes it out to the longest one so you can see clearly what it is. So here we are. This is how you put the data into usable form. Obviously, this is going to be a lot more work because you have to do a lot of days and you have to do a lot of times, but this is essentially how it works for this type of radio station. let's do a second way of getting data off of a different type of website. This is iHeart. iHeart stations usually do it the same way, although some stations you'll find don't actually show the data at all. They'll only give you like one song, the one that's playing. A lot of them do, though, so this is one that does, which is KISS in LA. And they actually make it fairly easy to find because it's actually right on the homepage, which is nice. And this is kind of nice, too. Britney Spears is getting closer to being free. That was a fiasco. Wow. Yeah, it was amazing that the courts let that go on so long. You kind of wonder what was going on there, if somebody was on the take or not. Anyway, that's a whole different deal. So, as you can see, in comparison to the last radio station, the Cox radio station, this is the same information, but it's laid out differently. There's the time, and this is the title and the artist, and there's that picture. So let's do, let's get a few of them, okay, which puts it into a different form, and then I'll just grab it, okay? So there we go. Again, I'm going to click over here, and I'm just going to start dragging down the page. And I'm just going to scroll down, makes it easier. Hold down the shift key, click somewhere out in this area. I'm going to do just barely into the white. It's got it all. I am now going to copy. I'm going to try to paste special like we did the last time and see if it brings up that. Yes, it does. Okay, awesome. So I think this will eliminate the pictures without ever having to try to turn the internet off and go through all of that stuff. Let's just see what happens. Oh my God, bonus, super bonus. Okay, so there we go. Now, again, let's see, let me just double click on this to widen it so you can see everything. What you want to do, as I was mentioning, you want to make sure that everything is in the exact same form. And what I mean by that generally, usually is there's no spaces. So here we have data, 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 time, data, 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 time, data, 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 time. Let's just see if it holds up all the way through. Because sometimes for some reason websites jump the data. And is it doing it here? No, it's just long data. Okay, perfect. This is going to work out great. So, all right, what do we want? Let me go back to the top here so we can see what stuff we can follow it along. Okay. So the first thing we want is, I would want the time. Let's make the time first. You can make this in any order you want, but I'm going to pick off the time first. Okay. Now, what do we want next? Put the equal sign in. I want the artist, which is The Weeknd. Okay. And now I want the title. Now, the tricky part here is going to be which one is the album title and what is the actual title. And you might want to look down a little bit to see what that is. I would say that this one, just staring at this is probably the title. And that's probably the album or some other way, that grabs this picture. So there we go. So let me just, again, double click here and make these, make this larger. There we go. And there we go. So you can see everything. Now, highlight this cell, hold down the shift key, highlight this cell, which is going to make them all highlighted. And how much data do we have before we repeat? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's the time. So what we want to go down to is here. We want to get down to the time, even though we're starting with the time, but we've moved it. We've moved it to the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here, but I'm going to hold the shift key down first before I do that. Shift key is held down. I'm going to click here. And now I have this entire section highlighted. As I pull this little square down, it's going to repeat these 4 rows over and over and over again. The first row has got data. The next 3 are blank. It's going to do the same thing. So watch. Here we go. I'm going to just drag. I'm not even going to look. I'm going to just go right down the page, all the way to the bottom. And I'm going to stop right on the time. And there you go. Let's double click here and open it up so you can see it. And there's the information. There's everything that you want. It's sitting right there in the form that you want it in. So what do we do now? Well, one way is just to make this easier to handle is to grab this, highlight this column. We have 3 columns worth of data. Hold down the shift key, highlight this column. All 3 are now selected. Copy. Do the copy. Control C on a PC, Command C on a Mac. and go down to this little plus and open up a whole new sheet. I was grabbing columns, so I have to start with a column. Again, paste special. And there it is. There's the data. And let's just sort this. If there's nothing else on the page, you can just hit this thing right here. It'll sort everything. But we want to sort on, let's just sort on D, okay? So we'll go over to data, sort D, and it doesn't really matter which direction, high to low, low to high, we'll just sort on D. So there's everything we pulled over. Now that we have it with no instructions on it, there's no, equal, go get it from this cell and move it in. It's just the pure data. We have one more thing to do, and that's turn this back into time. So I'll select the entire column. We'll do the Command 1 on a Mac, Control 1 on a PC, bring up this Format Cells page again, look for time, find the time that you want it to look like, and just hit OK. Now it's back to looking like time. Let me show you something else that you can do. I'll just show it to you. I mean, right now this is all clumped together. It looks a little difficult sometimes to look at. You can do that same menu that I just had, Control 1 on a PC, Command 1 on a Mac, and you can go to Alignment. How do you want this to align? Well, right now it's general, so it's going to be on the right-hand side, but let's move it to the left just so I can see more. And move it to the left and hit OK. And now it's over here. So now it's separated a little bit from the data, and you can see it a little clearer. There's the little things, hopefully you already know how to do that. Now, one last thing. This thing looks weird here. At first it threw me when I was looking at it, and I was like, well, did something go wrong with the data? So I'm looking at Doja Cat, Kiss Me More, and Need to Know, and Kiss Me More, and Need to Know. Did something all of a sudden start to repeat? Same thing with Ed Sheeran and Bad Habits. So it's like, what's going on here? And Olivia Rodrigo. Did the data get all messed up? Actually, it didn't. It's like, watch what happens. I'll show you. Kiss Me More, Doja Cat. Okay, 451 is where it played. Let's go to 451. 451, there it is. When's the next time it played? Kiss Me More, 334. Let's go down to 334. There it is again. And did it play one more time? 220. Let's go down to 220. Kiss Me More. This data is not wrong. It's just that these songs are turning so fast that it looked like it was wrong. And there you go. I mean, so you would do this and, pull down the 30 days and, all their music that they're playing. And you also have the times that they're playing it, and if you put in what I was showing you, if you, typed in, the typical Monday and then September 27th, now all of a sudden you have the date and the time and when a song was played, and you can re-engineer, the entire music list. That's way number 2. Let's look at this the third way, when stuff comes into one big clump and you want to pull the time out of it, or you want to start separating things. It becomes a little bit harder, and there's a formula that needs to be involved, but it's not super complex. But again, it is a pain. Now, I've already done it over here, but I just wanted to show you that you can, you can run into like roadblocks. I mean, you got to kind of try to figure to get around them. Now, here's again, if we just grab these and cut and paste them over. Well, actually, let me just grab these and do it. I'll do a new page. I'll put them in, and I'll take them even with the pictures. So now, just like the last time, what do we want to do here? We want to go equal, and then we want to basically move over here, and because we want B4 to be in this. We want this cell, this G, whatever it is, G4 cell, to equal B4. So we're going to move over to it, and it's going to put that information in. Here's why if I didn't want to click on it, because these pictures are in the way. Because if I want to click on this cell, that's the cell underneath, but that picture is on top, this is what ends up happening. And I don't want that. The thing to do is to equal, and then just, use your arrows and go over to the right cell and hit return. Now, luckily, you don't have to do that for all of them, because you can just do this now. Watch. As a matter of fact, you can actually really save time because you can sort. So I don't even have to worry about spaces. I'll just go through and it's going to put spaces in. Now, if I want to sort and sort on G, and all these zeros are going to go to the bottom or the top, depending on how I'm sorting. So sort, what row was that? G. So column G. And there we go. Now, I'll just erase all this junk. I'll just get rid of it. I'll delete it. See? Under Edit, Delete. Boom. Now what we have is we have the information that we want. But it's still in this sort of weird form where it's all one big piece. And that's not real good. Let's highlight the entire column, copy. It always helps to get a new blank sheet of paper, so to speak, a new blank sheet on the spreadsheet, because then anything here is not going to bleed over, because we're starting fresh on something brand new. So I'm just going to click. Same thing as before. I was highlighting an entire column over here. See, it was the whole column. So you got to do the same so it matches up. So there's the column. I'm highlighting it. And we're going to go under Edit and Paste Special. And what are we going to put in? Formulas? No. Formats? No. Comments? Validation? No. And none of this other stuff. We're going to put in values. I just want the data. All right, there it is. Now, how do we get that time off of there? If you wanted the time. If you don't want the time, then you could pretty much do this without doing it. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to read when you have 30 days worth. But let's just say you had Johnny Gill. Let me just pull this out of here for a second. Let's just say my Johnny Gill was played on the radio station. Let's just say it was played, I don't know, a bunch of times. Let's say it was played this many times, at the end of the 30 days when you sort them all up and you go like, wow, I got a lot of Johnny Gill here. The only thing, this part's going to look exactly the same. The only difference is that time is going to change. So it would be pretty easy when you sort it, the entire station's 30 days, just like I was showing you in the other lesson, you're going to get stuff that will all fall in order like this, and it'll be very easy for you to count it and just go, okay, how many of these babies are here? 11. And you put 11 in the thing, you count it, and then, you get rid of the rest of them. But if you want the time and you really want to be able to deal with the time, this is how you do it. So what you do is there's a formula, and what it basically is it's a formula that says, grab the right-hand side of whatever cell I tell you to and pick off the last certain amount of characters. If I tell you, grab this particular cell and pick off the right characters, I want 10 of them, it's going to pick off 10. If I say, give me 5, it'll pick off 5. If I say 4, it'll pick off 4. So this is what it looks like. So it'll be equal, right, a parentheses, because that's the way all formulas are. And then, okay, so then it's going to be what cell? Well, this is the cell right here. All right, then you put a comma. So you've told it to cell. Now, how many characters become the time? Well, what do we got? We got 525 there. So there's 4 of them because you got to count that semicolon. Then a space after it and 2 more. So 4, 5, 6, 7. So we want a 7 here. You want a 7, and then you want to close the parentheses. And there's your time. Now watch. I'm just going to pick this formula up. And I'm going to put it over here underneath all of them. I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to drag that little doohickey square thing, and I'm just going to pull it down. It's going to grab them all. The only problem with this is, so let's just say if it was 12 or 11 or 1055, you've now missed one digit. Let's just make this 1009. Okay, so if this was 1009, that formula is not getting it. It's getting me 009. Well, that's not real good. And as a matter of fact, let's change it. If it was 1109, it would be even harder to find. I mean, that 0 sticks out like a sore thumb, but 109, you'd think you wouldn't notice it. So you got to come through and look really carefully at the times and then go, okay, that's 1109. What do I have here? Well, I don't want 7 characters. In this instance, I want 8. So you just change that to an 8, and there's your 11 p.m. Now, the best way to do this, the easiest way, is to sit and keep them in order as you go down the page. And when you get to 10 and 11 and 12, only those 3 hours is where the extra numeral comes in, okay, the extra digit. So, you can drag down, for 9 hours and be totally fine. And then when you hit 10 o'clock, you got to be more careful. You change the formula and drag 10, 11, 12. And you're good, and then go back to the other one with only 7 digits. And, again, then you would, after this is done, you would put your Monday, and you'd put the date, September, I don't know, well, let's just say it's 22nd. And there's your data. You're good. So I hope that helps. Sometimes though, let's just try to sort this. Sometimes when you might run into a problem of sorting this, and because sometimes these things won't sort right or you get a weird warning sign. So let's just try to do this, and I'll just show you what happens just so you know. So, okay. So here's what it's telling us. It's saying, what do you want to do here? Sort numbers and numbers stored as text separately, or do you want to sort anything that looks like a number as a number? Well, let's try it with anything that looks like a number as a number. And right now we're out of order. See how it's 630, 623, 458, 522. Well, obviously that 458 is, that's wrong. That's in the wrong spot. So let's just see what it does. Okay, great. Now they're all in order. So if you get that, again, when you get this warning, you want to sort anything that looks like a number, sort it as a number, and you're going to be fine. Hopefully this helps of how you can get around websites. Again, they'll come in a lot of different ways. I can't go through every single one of them because I don't even know which ones have which. I just know that a lot of them will look differently, but they all generally have the same information. What I was showing you how to manipulate, how to do the time here like this, how to sort the time, numbers on numbers, and get rid of the pictures, all of that stuff, you'll have to go through that. So this is basically how it works. Hope this helped.